So, team, first of all, a very good evening to everyone, and welcome to the InfosecTrain. And and today we are here for Cloud Security Masterclass, and my name is Ayush. So, team, before moving forward, I would just like to give my introduction. So, team, my name is Ayush, and I will be instructor for this entire program. And about my IT experience, I have been working in the industry for last 8+ years on various domains. I started my career as a mainframe developer, then onwards started working in a cloud and more specifically on AWS. Also, then a trainer, I'm a consultant for a lot of countries worldwide. I basically support the organization to migrate to the AWS cloud platform and also help them to secure the cloud computing platform. I design solution for them. Okay, so team, that's my whole experience, and I'm also AWS certified cloud practitioner, AWS certified solution architect, AWS certified security specialty. I have worked in Kubol, JCL, PL1, DB2, and I'm also certified ethical hacker, right? So team, like this is all about my introduction. Okay. So team, first of all, like what is our agenda for today? So today we'll be starting with introduction, then we will be discussing about shared responsibility model. Then we'll be discussing about AWS 12 architect framework, and team finally will be discussing about security pillar and design principle. So team, this is our agenda and we'll be just covering one by one. Okay. So first of all, I'm going to start with the introduction, that is cloud computing. Cool team. So this is our first thing that we're going to discuss. So team, what is cloud computing? So first thing is that cloud computing is the on-demand delivery of compute power, database storage, and application and other IT resources. So, team, this kind of definition you can see, on a web, right? So, like today, I will just tell you like my kind of a definition. So, my kind of a definition is like cloud computing is basically made up of two words, right? So, this is cloud computing, cool team. So, cloud computing is basically of made up of two words. So, I'm just gonna break into two, right? So first one is cloud. So team, what is cloud? So cloud is means accessing something over the internet. Cool team. So if you are accessing something over the internet, this will be called as cloud. And for computing, we are having four types of thing. Okay. First one is CPU capacity. We have CPU capacity. Then we have storage capacity. Then we have memory capacity. Okay. Then we have network capacity. So team, like whenever you are just going to like have these kind of capacity and you can access them over the internet, then it is called as cloud computing. Cool team. So if you are having these capacity and if you are able to access over the internet, it is called as cloud computing, right? So team, okay, so like what is cloud computing? We have discussed, right? So it is made up of two words, right? Like first one is cloud, second one is computing. And in computing, we are having four capacity, that is CPU capacity, memory capacity, storage capacity, and network capacity. And if we are gonna access all these capacity over the internet, then it is called as cloud computing. Cool team. So this is the cloud computing. Now team, cloud computing comes with a service platform which gives you the opportunity of pay as you go pricing. So team, like what does this mean, like pay as you go pricing? Team, pay as you go pricing means that, see, I have created my account, right? So this is my AWS account. So just now I want to show you, like these are my services, right? So all these services I am having, okay? So these are my services. And team, if I want to access these services, okay, and what will happen, whenever you're creating an account, you don't have to pay for like all these services that are mentioned here. So out of all these services, the services which you are going to use, you have to pay for only that thing. For example, like we are having something called as S3. Cool team. Like for example, we are having something called as S3. And if you're gonna use like 100 GB of storage, right, like a Google Drive, if you're gonna use S3, okay, for storing your data like 100 GB, so what you will do, you have to pay for only 100 GB. If some other person is storing like data of 1000 GB, so he or she might have to pay for 1000 GB, right? So this is called as pay as you go pricing. It means that whatever you are using, you have to pay for it. Cool, team. Then you can provision exactly the right type and size of computing resources you need. So what does this mean? So team, this means that team, like if you are having all these things, like if you're working in the on premises, and what will happen? Okay, now for example, we all here in a session just think about making our like opening our startup. So what we are going to do, first of all, we need to buy a building, right? So we have to just rent out things, we have to do lot of things. Okay, and if we are just buying our storage capacity or servers, so we just need to guess, right, like we are just starting, so how much capacity of like servers we would be required. So if we are working on cloud, then you don't have to guess, right, like what amount we have to use in cloud. See, in cloud what we can do, we can just easily go there and we can just change the configuration, right? Now for example, in my server I just need around 2 core CPU. Okay, so I don't need to think about it. Like after some time, I need 4 core CPU. So what will happen? I just need to change it, right? I just don't need to worry about or guessing all these things. Okay. So if we are going for the cloud, we can provisioner provision exact the right type and size of computing resources we need. Cool, team. And I showed you, right, you can access as many resources as you need instantly. It means a team, like if I am going here, if I am using something, okay, I can do instance, right? If I wants to store something here, right, in S3, this is a kind of a storage service. So what I need to do, I just need to come here and just need to upload. See, I can do anything, right? If I need to upload anything, I can just upload my storage, all these things here. So we can access each and everything almost instantly, right, team? Then simple access to server storage databases, I already told you. Okay, and all these things will be maintained by the AWS. So this is cloud computing, right? If you're just getting all these things over the internet, if you are having the pay as you go pricing, right, all these things if you are having, so this is a cloud computing. Now team, like there are some cloud services we have been using, like for example Gmail. In Gmail, like I know that most, like not most, like each and everyone will be using Gmail. Okay, and we know that Gmail is providing us around 15 GB of free data. After that we have to just pay for it, right? And for that we really don't need to buy any infrastructure, not a single storage device. We just need to create an account and just use it. Same with the Dropbox. If you want to store your file, photos, movies, whatever you want to do, you can do same things with the Dropbox. Then team, we are having something called as Netflix. I know that all these people who are just keen on watching uh, movies, series, they will be really happy with the Netflix, right? So what is happening, you just need to buy a subscription and you just need to use it, right? So these are the some of the cloud services that we are using. Now team, next question, like this is the biggest question, like if you are just going to start with a cloud journey, whether you are a person, organization, or you are just wants to start your journey in the cloud, like as a solution architect or anyone, right? So this is the first thing we need to understand, like why to cloud. See, like for example, we all are working in an organization, right? So, and for example, like I am just owner of an organization. Okay, now what happens, team, like all my competitors are just moving from on premises to the cloud, right? Like in on premises from the cloud. So it doesn't matter, right? Like my all competitors or my rivalers are moving, so I also need to move from on premises to the cloud, right? So if you're just seeing others from moving on premises to the cloud, and on that basis you are taking decision, so that is completely wrong perception, team. First of all, we need to check, like this cloud is good for us, not. Then we need to check our compatibility, right? We need to check our requirements, that why we are going for this, is it required for us, right? So it's not really like that, like others, our competitors and other rivalries are moving, so we also need to move. So it is completely wrong perception. First of all, we need to understand the benefits, all these things, right? What are the benefits, why we need to move cloud? So for this purpose, we need to just understand like why to cloud. Okay, so team, like for example, okay, so these are the benefits, or you can say like why to cloud situations. So first thing that I'm having is called as capex to opex. Why to move to cloud? So team, what is capex to opex? So team, capex to opex means, first of all, capex means capital expense and opex means operational expense, right? First one is capital expense and another one is operational expense. Okay, so team, let me explain you like what all these things are. See, first one is capex. So capital expense means, now for example, I really wants to build my own data center in my own premises. So for all that thing, what I just need to buy a infrastructure. Then I need to have my hardware devices, right? I need to have internet connection, right? Then I need to have storage devices, right? Then I need to have networking capabilities. Then I need to have servers, right? Like by this, I need to have human resources, right? So by this way, I need to have lots of things, right? So team, by this way, if you're just going for the capex means if you're just going to build your own data center on your premises, then you need to take, or you just need to buy a lot of things, right? You just need to buy infrastructure, that is building, or you need to rent out. You need internet connection, you need storage, you need network, you need servers, you need human resources, right? You need heat ventilation and air conditioning, right? So you need like all these kind of stuff, right team? So team, I believe like if you're just working in an organization, if I am just trying to build my own data center, I need to pay a lot of things, right? So these are the capital expense, that mean that you just need to pay for the just pay for upfront, right? Then we have like operational cost team, like we need to have, we need to pay salary, right, to our employees. Then we need to maintain all these things, right? Our servers, storage. Then we have EOL, end of life events. I will explain you later, like what is EOL. So, like by this way, team, we have lots of things to manage, right? So these are my capital expenses. These are my operational expenses. So, team, now for example, okay. So now, for example, if I am just going to build my own data center, and if I am just paying for all these things, so for every organization we are having vision and mission, right? So team, like for example, if I'm just going to focus on these things, so I will be deviated from my like vision and mission, right? So for that we have something to if we are just going for the cloud, so we don't need to do anything, team. We just need to only create an account, and we just need to do all these things. See, now if I want to build my infrastructure, so team, for example, this is my VPC. Can you see here? Like this is my VPC. I can create subnet, all these things, right? So team, like if you're just going to do all these things, it means that I can just whatever I want to do, like I can build my own networking things, right? So by this way, team, I can build my complete data center over the cloud, and I really don't need to pay for like any of these. So team, like this is the first example benefits, right, for why to cloud. So we just need to remove all these things. Cool team. Then then onwards we have like something called as scalability. So team, what is scalability? What is scalability, team? Scalability is the ability of IT resources to increase or decrease as per the scale of business demands. Cool team. What is scalability? Scalability is the ability of the IT resources to increase or decrease as per the business demands. Okay. So team, for this I will just show you an example. Okay. Like for example, this is my website. Okay. I'm just going for like shopping.com. Okay. So this is my website, that is shopping.com. Now team, this is my one server, right? Okay. Now this server is going to fulfill all my requirement. Okay. Now team, for example, this is I am having this all these things like in my own data center, right, on my on premises. Now for example, now after some time my this website becomes popular and I'm having lots of requests, right? So what will happen team? I have to just increase my servers, right? So how can I do it? I just need to buy more hardware, right? So what will happen, team? I just need to buy more infrastructure, more maintenance, all these kind of things, right? But team, for example, if you're going to build all these things over the cloud, then you don't need to worry. You just need to go for something called as auto scaling, and using auto scaling, all these servers will be increased in the backend. Cool. Then team, second thing is that now for example, okay, now team, for example, I'm just planning for my sale day. Okay, like for example, I'm going for weekend sale or independent sale, for any kind of a sale. What will happen now? Like for example, in daily basis, I'm having only hundred or thousands users. Okay, I'm having only thousand, 100 requests. Now, like in my sale, I know that it can go around like 10,000 or 20,000. So for that purpose, we what we need to do, we just need to buy servers, right? So I have buy servers. Now what will happen, team? Like after some time, like I know that after sale day, again my request will be around 100. So all these servers will be getting like waste, right? So what I can do, I can just go for the cloud and I can create as my ads, like if I just enable auto scaling. So whenever the sale day will come, all these things will scale according to my requirement, right? Now, if I'm having 10,000 requests, so these five servers will be able to do it. Now my request reached to 20,000. So by this way, team, these servers will be increasing in the backend. Now, as this sale and my requests start decreasing, all these things will also be descaled. It means that all these things will be descaled, and again on the normal day, I'm just going to start work with the same server, right? So by this way, team, if you are going for the cloud, scalability is really really easy. If you are going for the if you are going for cloud, right, then you can do scalability very easily, right? So for that reason we are going for the cloud, right? So this one is scalability. Now team, third thing that we are having something called as compliance. Okay, so team, what is compliance? Team, like compliance, I know that most of you have heard about HIPAA, GDPR, right? And all this thing, PCI DSS. So team, it's nothing but we are just we have to obey some rules and regulation, right? Okay. So if you are just wants to store the data of European people, right? So you just need to go for like GDPR. If you wants to store the what we say uh, customers or patients of like data of like US, then we have to go for like HIPAA, right? So for that purpose, we need to just follow rules. Okay, that is called as compliance. So if we are just following compliance on our own data center, then it's really tough. But if you are going for the cloud, so there are like tools we can go for that, and we can do it in a very easy way. Cool team. So this is the cloud. This is the third benefit, right? This one is third. This one is second. This one is our first one, right? Capex to OPEX. So these are the three advantages, right? First one is Capex to OPEX. If you don't need to buy any off, like if you don't want to buy any hardware or anything upfront, we can go for Capex. Then scalability is very easy. Then we have compliance. Then team, something here we have called as EOL. So what is EOL, team? EOL is end of life events. Okay, so it's like company replaced your working laptop with the new one, right? Like if you all are working in an organization, okay, so it's not really like that. You all will be using the same laptop for, like, if you're working in an organization for 8 years, 10 years. So it's not like that you will be using the same laptop like the till day you are just leaving the organization, right? So that's not the case. What will happen? Like after around 2 or 3 years, what will happen? Your organization will just replace your old laptop with a new one, right? And team, the reason is that like it will just match the standard, and your like hardware and software will be outdated. They would be needing a patching, right? So for that purpose we are just going for EOL, right team? So for that purpose we are going for something called as EOL, that is called as end of life events. So team, like whenever you are going for EOL, we are just using what we are using. We are if you are going for EOL and we are just going for the cloud, then team, like whatever things I have mentioned in like capex and opex, then we just don't need to go for all these things, right team? Then we don't need to go for like all these things like EOL, like all the servers, storage, all these things will be replaced in the backend by the cloud service provider. Now team, like if we are just doing all these things on your premises, on your own data center, so what will happen? Then you have to do it by your own, right? You have to just replace server like after 10, 20, 12 years, where whatever will be their life period, right? So you can't be relied on that single server. Okay, what will happen, like if you are using the same server like after their life period is over, what will happen, like anytime they can go down and you will be in trouble, right? So to remove all these things we are going for something called as end of life events. Then team, we are having something called as less HR. I know team, like it's not a really good practice. Okay, not a good practice means like if we are working in organization, we all will be losing our jobs, right? So this is not good. But team, like if you think in a perspective of an organization, it's a really good thing. Like they can just remove like human negligence error, then they don't have to do like all these things, right? They have to pay less salary. Okay, so they are just getting benefit, right? So that's why like organizations are moving to the cloud. Cool team. So this was our less HR. Then team, then we have something called a disaster recovery or DR sites. Team, for example, okay, now team, for example, if we are just building our own thing in our, okay, so team, if we are just going for the DR side, so what will happen? Okay, so team, like for example, if you're working in your like if you are having your own organization, you are having your own premises, your own data center. So what you are gonna do? You are just having like for example, you are having your office in Gurgaon, right? So you are just using all these things. So team, what will happen? You just need to pay all these things, right? For everything. And now what happens? Like after some time, you just wants to go for DR site. Okay, if you just wants to go for CRDR side, now if you're afraid that due to any disaster you are just going to lose your data, everything, right? Your project. So for that purpose, what you can do, you can just create a DR site, right? Now, team, for example, if you are having your own organization, or if you are just working all these things on your own premises, what will happen? It's not really easy, right? You are just going to buy a like you just need to go to the another place and just buy all these things, similar things. You are just replicating all these things. Okay, so these DR, just to build a DR sites, it's not really easy. We just need to do all these things manually, and this will take around a lot of engineering, right? So it's not really easy for to build a DR site. But team, like if you're working in organization, right? Okay, and if you're doing all these things in your own like cloud, so what will happen? You can just create a DR site like very easily. You can just replicate all these things to another region in a very easy way, right? Okay, so team, we are just going to build DR site in this way. Then we have something called as security, right? Then we have something called as security. So team, what is security? So team, like I know that I'm just going to give like all these advantages. Now you might be thinking, if you're moving from on premises to the cloud, so security will be also increased. But I will say you that it's completely wrong. If you are just okay, so if we just what will happen team, if we are just moving to the cloud, we are just increasing the risk, right? But team, like there is a one more thing, like if you are just moving to the cloud, what will happen, right? If you're just it's increasing the risk, but if you are just moving to the cloud, what will happen? Cloud service provider is just giving you lots of tools and lots of things so that you can protect and you can just manage your security accordingly. Cool team. So this is security. Okay, so these are the advantages of cloud, right? First one is capex to opex, then we have scalability, then we have compliance, then we have EOL, then less HR, then DR, then security. Cool team. So these are the advantages. Now team, we are having some disadvantages. Like if you're working in an or like everything's in the world, if they are have pros, then we have cons as well, right? So same way here, if you are having some advantages, so we are also having some disadvantages as well, right? So first one is team, multi-tenant. Okay, multi-tenancy or multi-tenant. Okay, so team, what is multi-tenancy? So first thing is that team, like if you're working in an cloud, so what will happen? We all are using the same piece of hardware, right? So for example, okay, so for example, this is the piece of hardware of cloud service provider. Cool team. And if you're just using a piece of hardware from here to store your uh, anything, right? Your files and folders. So this piece will be allocated to you. Then if some other person wants to access, then this piece will be allocated to him or her. So in this way team, like this piece of hardware is shared with each and everyone, right? So team, this is called as multi-tenancy, right? But team, like what will happen here, like these all things will be logically separated. Still, if you are using the same hardware, but all these things will be logically separated. So first thing is that team, if you are just going for like very high secure, like if you're just working in very high dedicated projects, like you are working with defense and all these things, so like there can be some issue with the multi-tenancy, right? So like if you are having all these things, so multi-tenancy is one of the biggest thing. But team, like we are using encryption here, right? So we are using all these things encryptions, so for this purpose we can just protect our data from others, right? So this is multi-tenancy, but with multi-tenancy, they are giving us option so that we can just separate our data or we can protect our data. Then team, like third party. Now team, for example, see now if I ask you guys, just give me your credentials, right? If I am just asking you guys, can you please give me your office credentials, right? After like some amount of time, like we are friends, so you will not share it with anyone, right? You are not going to share with your family members as well. Cool team. So this is third party administrator. So team, like how can we trust our cloud, right? So if we all are like in an organization, we are having like lots of customer client, right? So how can we put our like clients data over the cloud, right? How can we trust cloud? So for that we are having third party administrator, right? So they are just giving us like ISO, all these things, like they will be just third party will be just giving certification, then we will be just happy, yeah, they are certified, means that they are, we can trust them. Cool team. Then we have like third thing, like location constraint. Like you must know exactly the location where your data is stored, right? Your sensitive data. So for this is also the thing, but we are using like S3 and all these things. So for that we are just aware. But if you are just using Google Drive, you won't be knowing about your location of your sensitive data. Cool team. So these were the advantages or disadvantages of the cloud. Now team, there is something called as cloud deployment model. Okay, now we have something called as cloud deployment model. So team, like in cloud deployment model, we are having different models. Okay, so first of all we are having something called as public, then we have private, right? Then team, third we are having something called as hybrid, right? So these are the things that were defined like a long back, but right now we are having more deployment models. Okay, so these deployment models are like traditional ones. We are having more methods. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to discuss these. Then after that, we'll be moving ahead with the advanced one, right? So first of all, we are going to discuss that is public. Cool team. So like in public deployment models, what all things we are having? Okay. So first of all, public is just broken into two parts. Okay. First one is like your users, right? Like for individuals. Then second one is organizational. Okay. So team, like if you're going for public for like individual, okay. So like for individuals, we have a good example of Google Drive, right? So team, like what is public cloud? So there is some cloud service provider, okay, and we are having just pay as you go model, right? So public cloud means that anyone can use it, right? Now if you go for like organizational, right, like Google Drive, right? So Google Drive can be used by anyone, right? Cool team. Like anyone can use Google Drive. You just need to sign in the Google and you just need to use the Google Drive, right? So by this way, team, we are just using a public deployment model that is Google Drive, right? So the Google Drive is example of public cloud. We anyone can use it, right? Like anyone who using just need to create a Google account and they can easily use it. Now, team, if we talk about organizational level, for that we are having something called as S3, right? For that we are having called as S3, and it is here, right? So like if you are going for AWS, then we can go for S3. Okay, see now here you can just create your buckets and you can upload any amount of data you want. So by this way, team, we are these are the public deployments model. So S3 is a public service team. Like people used to get confused all these things. So S3 is a public service. Cool team. And the only advantage with the public cloud service provider is, so team, now we are going to discuss about public, right? So public cloud is something called as like there is a like we are having a cloud service provider with pay as you go model, right? And we are having two things. It is divided into two things. First one is individual. In that we are having like options like Google Drive and all that, like OneDrive, Google Drive, anyone can use it. Then we have another option that is organizational. We are having S3 like in other cloud service provider. Also, we are having storage things. We can go for that as well. Cool team. So like there are like some disadvantage with public cloud, right? You can see that like in Google Drives we have very less security, no location preferences, and team limited space. Like after some amount of time, even if you want to pay more, then you won't be able to store more things, right? They are just giving you special. They are just giving you limited space, right? The only advantage of public cloud is it's economical. Cool team. Now, team, we are having something called as private cloud. And team, it's really important. And people used to get confused on this because we are having two things here. First one is on premises private cloud. Cool team. First one is on premises private cloud. Then second, we are having something called as off premises private cloud. So team, what are the difference between these two? So first of all, we are just going to discuss about on-premises private cloud. So team, what is on-premises private cloud? So the on-premises private cloud is that, okay, we have our own infrastructure. First thing is that in on-premises private cloud, we are having our own infrastructure. In that we are having a resource pooling. We are just going to add the capacity like all these things, elasticity and scalability, right team? So what we are going to do in on premises private cloud, we are just having our own infrastructure, right? And we are just going to use the cloud, right? So how we can do it? First thing is that on-premises private cloud, we are just having our all these things like hardware, all these things we have buy out. Second thing is that team, what we need to do? Okay, we are just adding the cloud capabilities. And team, like in on-premises private cloud, we can have cloud service provider as well. Like for example, I have just have all my things like hardware. I have bought like a piece of I have just bought an infrastructure, then I have bought storage servers, all these kind of things. And then I'm asking AWS, can you just add cloud capabilities here so that I and my client can use it? Okay, so this is on-premises private cloud. It means that we are deploying cloud on our own platform. So team, like there are like some advantages. First one is that if you're going for on premises, like in your own premises, in your own organization, so you will be having complete control. Okay, then we are having something called as security. Okay, so we are having high security because data is in our control. Then we know the exact idea of the location, like where my data lies, right team? Advantages, like we are not having any multi-tenancy. So team, like most of the people who are going for on-premises private cloud, those who are dealing with very sensitive projects, like they are working with uh, they are working with medical, or they are just going for like research, right? They are just working with military, right? So for all those like all these organizations going for on-premises private cloud. Then team, there are like some disadvantages of on-premises. Okay, the disadvantages of on premises are like it's costly, like you just need to buy each and everything, right? Copex and opex, all these things will be covered here. Then team, you are fully responsible. Okay, we need more resource management, all this kind of thing. Okay, so this is all about on premises private cloud. Then team, we are having something called as off premises private cloud. Team, off-premises private cloud is nothing but it's a virtual private cloud, but not in your on premises. Okay. So what is the best example here? Okay, I will show you. Team, this is VPC. Okay, this is called as virtual private cloud. Okay, so what is virtual? See, by the name only you can see that like private. So this is a private thing. Okay, so this is a private service in cloud. So team, like using VPC, you can just build your own infrastructure here. Okay, you can just bring like you can just create your own virtual private cloud. You can create here subnets. You can just create servers inside that. Okay, you can just launch servers inside your subnets. Then you can just route on the basis of whether you want to go for the internet or internet, like public or private facing, right? So you can do all these things, right? Using firewalls, you can do all these things from here. So this is the example of virtual private cloud. Okay, so what is virtual private cloud? This means that this is not in your premises. It means that it can be anywhere in like in any cloud service provider, whether it's AWS, Azure, GCP. Cool team. And here physical hardware is shared, but virtually it is different. Cool team. So this is the basic difference between on-premises private cloud and off-premises private cloud. On-premises private cloud, we are just having like Apex, OPEX, we are having our own physical hardwares, and we are just hosting our cloud there. Then in on-premises private cloud, it means that we are not buying anything upfront or any hardware. We are just going to use cloud service providers infrastructure. Cool team. So this is on-premises and off-premises. Now team, we are having third one. Okay, now team, third thing, we are having something called as hybrid. Okay, so what is hybrid team? Let me tell you. Okay, then we have something called as hybrid. First of all, like people used to get confused with these things, right? This is my AWS management console, right? So team, here some services are public, some services are private. Okay, so this VPC is my private one. Cool. So team, whatever things you can do in your premises, you can do here as well using virtual private cloud. Okay. So the difference between public and private is that team, like if you are creating your own infrastructure here, it will be only accessed by you, not by other members or like anyone. And if you're going for S3, if you want to share, you can do it, right? So the public one is right. Okay. So public means that you are having some services that can be used publicly. Okay. That you are going for Google Drive, right? But if you're going for off premises, it means that you are just building your own data center. Cool. Okay. Now, team, we have something called as hybrid. Team, really, hybrid is really interesting. Okay. So then we have something called as hybrid. So what is hybrid team? Hybrid is nothing. It's just a combination of public plus private. It's just combination of public plus private. So I will tell you with an example with the use cases, right? So where we are using this one. Okay, so for this what we are going to do, team. Okay, I will just show you with the use cases. Okay, first one is that, team, this is my on premises. Okay, this is host, like this is my cloud, that is on premises cloud. Okay, this is in my own infrastructure, or what you can say in my own organization, right? Now then, this is my cloud. Okay, this is my, for example, AWS cloud. This is my public one. Okay, this is my public and this is my private. Now, team, how we are working here. Okay, now, team, now for example, okay, the use cases are of public plus private, like for hybrid is. Okay, now for example, if you get a requirement from your client that we just want to go for POC. Okay, and you are not having a good amount of space left in your organization, and you are not really aware that like this project will go live or not. So for that purpose, what you can do, you can leverage that cloud service. For that some amount of time you can create your POC, and you can just show your client, like if that client is ready to go for that project, then you can just buy your servers, right? So you can just use this public cloud service provider for like some amount of time. Then second thing is that you can build your DR site. I already told you, like to build a DR site, it's not really easy. So to build a DR site, you just need to replicate all these things, and you just need to do a very lot. You need this required a lot of engineering. But if you are just wants to just replicate from on-premise to public, you can just easily do it, right? From AWS to like from your on-premise to AWS, you just need to use some tools, and you can easily do that. Cool. Now there are like some, if you wants to back up your data. Now if you wants to take a backup of your data, then also you can go for this. Now you have like all your data here you are using here, but now if you are just you are just running out of your storage, you just don't need to buy storage devices, you just need to extend this to your public cloud service provider and use that, right? So this is really simple, right? Hybrid, you are just you having your own private infrastructure, and you are just using uh, public one for, you're just having a private infrastructure and you are using public for some amount of time for disaster recovery or backup of your data. Now, team, these were the traditional ones. Now the latest ones that are in the market are, first one is community cloud. So what is community cloud, team? So community cloud is nothing but, see, community cloud is nothing but, it just like, for example, you are just going to deploy this for a particular community and this will be used by them only. What is the example for this? Okay, now for example, I am having four banks. Okay, I am having four banks. So these are my four banks in India. Okay, I'm taking any bank, you can take any bank. So I am having four banks, right? So first one is SBI, then I am having, okay, then I'm having PNB, then I am having Access, then I am having HDFC. Now, team, I know that you all might be aware of that, like how much important data we are having in our cloud, like in our bank, right? So, like if one transaction is missed, like there will be a lots of problem the bank has to face. So, like for that purpose, we can't go for like public cloud, right? Or like off premises private cloud. We can't go for like multi tenancy as well. So, what happens, team? These four banks will go to the cloud service provider, like for examples to AWS, and ask them to, can you deploy a cloud platform that will be used by for us only for our community. So they will say yes, why not? So they will be deploying cloud here. Now these things will be used by only for by all four cloud. Now, team, there is one like, now I know that like there will be a question in your mind, like why these banks are going for this, like for community cloud. So the now, team, like if they are going like going for this cloud deployment model like separately, so what will happen? They have to pay for it, right? But now they are just using the same thing, okay? And this will be only going to use by or the only four banks, so their security will be like they don't have any security issue. Second thing is that they are just going to save, like, see what will happen here. Okay, their infrastructure will be just broken into four parts, and this will be used by them. Okay, and what will happen, team? Now these will be used, but they are not having multi-tenancy with other one. They are just going to use this cloud service provider, like this cloud, by for their own purpose only. Now, team, moving forward. Okay, so this was my public hybrid, right? Then we have something called as government cloud. Like AWS has built a government cloud for US government, right? So there is another model that is called as government cloud. Then we are having something called as then we have something called as multi-cloud. Team, like, what is multi-cloud? This is really right now really important and hot in the market, multi-cloud. Okay, so what is multi-cloud? Okay, so team, what is multi-cloud? So team, like in multi-cloud, we need to do all these things by ourselves. Okay, like in multi-cloud, for example, okay, I'm just going to give you example. Now for example, we are having different cloud service provider like Google, AWS, and Azure. Okay, now team, like some of the people says like we are like AWS container services are really good. Okay, then some other people say like Azure Active Directory is really good. If you want to go for like all the controls, go for Active Directory for Microsoft. Okay, so you are going Azure for this. Okay, then if you want to go for the storage, for example, okay, team, I'm not just saying that these are the best things for this cloud, but I'm just saying, okay, now for example, like for GCP, like for Google, you can go for storage. Now team, for example, okay, now you want all these things from different cloud, right? Now you are not going to use all the services from here, or you just don't want to build your own cloud infrastructure using a singular cloud service provider. Then you can use the services of all these three things and go for multi-cloud. Cool, team. Like you are taking some services of containers from here, then you are taking Active Directory from here, then you are taking storage things from here. So by this way, you can go for multi-cloud strategy. Cool, team. You just need to analyze what all things are good for you, and you can easily go for that. Cool. So these are our deployments model, team. Then team, we have something called as cloud service models. Okay. Then we have something called as cloud service models. Team, these are really important. Okay. These are the basics. If you don't know these basics, then you need to suffer, right? So these are the cloud service models. So team, what are cloud service models? Okay, so first of all, I will tell you what are the models that we are having. Team, like in cloud service model, first thing that we are having is called as, this one is on premises, team. This means that team, okay, this means the team, like all these things will be taken care by you, because you have deployed clouds, or like you are having on premises private cloud, and you have to just take care of all these things by yourself. Then team, these things are called IaaS, PaaS and SaaS: infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. So team, what will happen in these three things? In a platform as a service, team, you just need to take care of like application security of your application, databases, and operating system, and all these things that are grayed out, that will be taken care by cloud service provider. And if you are going for PaaS, then only application should be taken care by, and other things will be taken care by cloud service provider. And if you are going for SaaS, so everything will be taken care by cloud service provider. You just need to use that. Okay. So let me discuss all these things in a deeper way. Okay. So team, like there are like three types of service models. Okay. So first one is infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, then software as a service. Okay. Now team, infrastructure service is the most flexible type of cloud service which lets you rent the hardware and contains the basic building blocks for cloud and IT. Okay. So this is the most flexible type. See, if you're going for this, you are just going to manage all these things by yourself. Cool, team. Then IaaS gives complete control over the hardware that runs your applications. Okay. I will show you team, like example of IS I will show you, don't worry. So it gives complete control over the hardware that runs your applications. Okay. Then team, it's an instant computing infrastructure provision and manage over the internet. Okay. So what does this mean team? It means that you just don't need to buy anything over upfront. You can just use the cloud service provider. Okay. Then team, like IS gives you the best level of flexibility and management control over your IT resources. Okay, so all these things will be covering IS, right? Then teams, like the best example for IS is EC2. Okay, so what is EC2? Okay, let me show you like how we are working in EC2. So let me open this like in EC2. Okay, this is the example of infrastructure as a service. Okay, so I'm just going to open this service. So team, like I already explained you, like we are having all these things, right? Like we are just going to use hardwares, okay? We are not going to buy anything upfront. We are just going to leverage from here. So for that, like I'm just going to show you like launch instance, okay? So now anything like you are launch, like if you are launching any server in AWS, it will be known as instance, right? Now, team, this is my AMI, okay? First of all, this is my AMI, right? So you can just find any AMI which is suitable according to you. Like for example, you are going for Amazon Linux, you are going for Mac, you can go for Red Hat, you can go for Microsoft, right? If you're just going to launch any server, you can do it easily. Cool team. Then team, I told you like there are like four things, right? We just need to see. Like if you're going for IAS, okay, so first of all, like we need to use, like we need to select our like vCore CPU power, like how much vCore CPU require, then memory, C storage, then networking performance. Cool team. So if you're going for IAS and if you're selecting EC2 service team, then all these things will be just managed by you. You need to just select and all these things will be done by cloud service provider. Cool team. So this is my IAS, right? So in IAS, we are just taking care of like we are just selecting our hardware, like we are just selecting our OS and OS maintaining, patching, all these things will be done by us. Okay, so the best example of IAS is EC2. Then team, we are having some benefits of IAS. Okay, then we are having some benefits of IAS. The benefits of IAS is cost saving. How we are saving cost using IAS? Team, in IAS, we are not going to buy any hardware upfront, right? We are not going to buy any network capacity. We are not going to buy a CPU capacity. We are not going to buy any storage capacity. We are not going to buy anything, right? We are just going to use all these things. Okay, we are just going to use our cloud service model. We are just going to create our account and we are just going to easily do that using IAS, right? We are just leveraging all these things. Okay, and we just need to provision and use it. Cool team. Then we have PaaS. Then team, what is PaaS? See, what is PaaS team? Like PaaS, okay. In PaaS, we are something called as platform as a service. So team, what is happening in PaaS? Okay. Team, like in PaaS, okay. So in PaaS, okay, PaaS is a model that gives you ready to use development environment, okay, where developers can especially write and execute high quality code, okay. So you don't need to provision anything, you just need to use the underlying hardware, okay. So team, like here you just need to focus on your code and all these things will be taken care by cloud service provider. Okay, let me show you how team, like like how we are going to build our application, right? We need environment, we need all these things. For this purpose you just need to go ahead something called as elastic beanstalk. Okay, so this is the example of PaaS service. Now team, if you want to build your application, see how you can do it. Just create application and like in these three steps you can easily do it. Okay, I'm just typing my demo application. These are text, you can just forget about them. Okay, we can just leave them, these are optional. Team, this is platform, okay. You just need to select platform, like of which platform you are just going to deploy your application. So what application you are having? You are having like Python, you are having these things, right? So if you are if you have a code with the PHP, so what you can do, just select your platform and upload your code. See, choose your file, and as soon as you are just going to hit a like create application, your application will be hosted and you can see over the web as well. Cool team. So by this way, you don't need to do anything. You just need to focus on your code and you can host your application and all these things will be managed by AWS. Then we have a software as a service. Team, the best example of a software as a service is Netflix. Okay. In that you are not going to do anything. You are just using that thing over the cloud, right? You are not creating anything, you are not saving anything, right? You just opening that thing and you're just watching movies, right? Just don't need to store that movies or web series over your local drive, right? And the best use case is Netflix. You can watch movies series anytime whenever you want. Okay, this is software as a service and it comes with a subscription model, right? Like example, like in Netflix, you just need to buy a subscription like monthly or yearly. Cool, team. Then team, this is really important, shared responsibility model. Okay, this is really important, team, shared responsibility model. So what, like this comes under like security, like what all things should be taken care by a customer and what all things should be taken care by AWS. Cool, team. Then I will tell you like what is like shared responsibility model, team. Now, team, like a cloud vendor provides various cloud service to its user, right? And one provides the service and other uses it. Okay, like vendor is right, like both vendors and users share some responsibility. Like the vendor is responsible for the service provided, and the user is responsible for the service user. Like for example, AWS will be responsible for providing us the services like I shown you Elastic Beanstalk, EC2 and S3, and we will be responsible for using that services. Okay, team. So team, we have already discussed the level of abstraction, right? We have already discussed about IS, PaaS and SaaS. So team, the biggest challenge that organization face is the confusion of the responsibilities leading to security compromisation. Okay, this confusion gives hackers a blind spot to attack, and many reports claim the improperly shared security responsibility as a culprit for various security incidents. Right, team? So that's why AWS established the AWS Security Responsibility Model to clarify responsibility. Cool, team? Like according to AWS shared responsibility model, AWS is responsible for the security of the cloud and the customer is responsible for the security in the cloud. AWS will be just taking the responsibility for underlying hardware, right? Okay. Now, team, these things are really responsible, right? So now what will happen? Like according to AWS shared responsibility model, AWS is responsible for the security of the cloud and the customer is responsibility for the security in the cloud, right? So now AWS responsibility. So AWS is responsible for protecting the infrastructure that runs all the AWS services. Got it? AWS will be responsible for protecting the infrastructure, like underlying infrastructure, and in other words, if I will tell you like AWS control, operate, and manage the components from the host operating system, right? And virtualization layer that is down to the physical layer, which is the service operates, right? So they will be just taking care of all these things. Now, team, like talking about customer responsibility, the customer responsibility depends on the AWS services used and the configuration they need to perform to secure that service. Okay, in other words, like customer need to manage the guest operating system including security patches and application software, right? Customer need to manage the guest operating system, right? I already showed you, right? You just need to select a Mac, Red Hat, you can select anything. So that is the guest operating system and you need to patch, maintain all that thing. Cool, team. And the responsibility of both AWS and the customer varies with the service taken into use. Okay, so make it very clear. Okay, so for this I am just taking one service just to show you like what is the responsibility of AWS and what will be the responsibility of cloud, like customer responsibility. Okay, now for example I am taking the service that is EC2. Okay, that is IaaS. Okay, so I'm just going to discuss that. So team, like AWS security is responsible for infrastructure. Okay, So what is the infrastructure? That is regions and availability zones, okay, and services. So these will be taken like regions and availability zones, underlying hardwares, like these will be taken care by AWS responsibility. Then we have customer responsibility. The customer is responsible for the security configuration or firewall, right? Like if you're having an application, you will be responsible for configuration of firewall, guest operating system like Ubuntu, Windows application and tools, install clients and server side encryption and customer data. Okay. So team, like finally security should not be compromised at any cost, and AWS knows the importance of cloud security as well, right? So our final goal is like this should not be security should not be compromised. So team, now I have got a question like what how about responsibility matters in multi-cloud? So team, like for example, you are using some services from AWS, right? You are using some services from Azure. You are using some services from Google, right? So when you're using these services, from these, they will be just different responsibility metrics from different clouds, right? From AWS, like they will be taking care of like underlining hardware. Other things will be taken care by you. Like if you want to launch a server, like if you're going for EC2, so you just need to take care of like security groups, all these things. Okay, like if you're just using active directory, so like like see the responsibility of cloud service provider is that their like their underlying hardware should not be compromised and other things should be taken care by, right? Second thing is that it is based on like services that you are using, right? If you are using PaaS service, okay, that is completely taken care by cloud service provider, then you don't need to worry about security, right? All these things will be taken care by cloud service provider. This is like shared responsibility model, okay? Then team, we have something called as AWS Architecting. Team, like from here, like these are the core concepts, okay? These are the well-defined principles, and you should be aware about of this. If you are just want to work as a security consultant, if you want to work as a uh, solution architect consultant, so team, you should be aware about all these concepts. These are really really important, okay? These are the basics, and if you are good with that, then I believe that you won't. Now team, uh, this is really important, architecting and this thing, so please focus here. Team, first thing that we are here, okay, that is called as well architect framework and general guiding principle, okay? So team, so in cloud, like when you want to have a good architecture, you need to stop guessing your capacity needs. Okay, instead you should use auto scaling and the scale based on what the actual demand on your system is going to be. Okay, I have already explained you the scenario of shopping.com, right? Like in that we are going for like auto scaling. So team, like we are not aware like how much capacity we are going to use. Like I am starting my organization, okay, I'm just a startup. So like I know that I will be having only around 50 to 100 requests, so I can go for the minimum, right? Like I can go for like T3 T4 or M large, right? Now team, after some time I see that like I'm having more requests, so that what I can do, I can just increase the number of servers. Cool team. So this is called as auto scaling, okay? So if you are just doing all these things on premises, then you need to buy hardware, right? But if you are doing all these things in cloud, you don't have to worry about all these things, right? Infrastructure, so you can do auto scaling, right? And you don't need to guess. Right now if you're doing all these things in your premises, then you have to guess. Right now, just like I'm having 100 requests, like I am planning for the sale day, so how much servers I need to buy in standby, right? So you need to guess, right? But if you're working in cloud, then you don't need to do anything, right? I will show you. See, this is auto scaling concept, okay? Let me show you, otherwise like you will be confused like what is auto scaling, okay? Team, like this is auto scaling. See, you just need to launch a configuration from here, and all these things will be taken care by AWS in the backend. You don't need to do anything, right? You just provisioning that my request is increased, please increase servers in the backend. Cool. Then team, you should also test your system at production scale. Okay, this is really important team. You should also test your system at production scale. So why, what is the reason behind it? Like team, in the cloud you can create as many as resources you want, right? And that can, you can do it like very very quickly. Okay, so now like, and there is no such reasons like why, for example, like why can't you just build all these things for 1 hour and just test a system at production scale, right? So you can do all these things like in a very quick manner, so it's, there is like no what you say, like there is nothing to think like why we don't really want to do. Okay, then team, this will ensure in future that your system is ready when you actually publish it to the customer. Cool team. Now team, it's really important to automate to make architecture experimentation easier. Okay, so why you want to like team, like they like, let me explain you a concept. Okay, this concept is really hot in a market. Okay, that is called as infrastructure as a code. Okay, or infrastructure as code. So what does this mean? Team, like if I want to build any infrastructure in the cloud, okay, let me show you. Okay, this will bring more clarity. Okay, now for example team, okay, this is my cloud platform, right? Now if I want to create my own infrastructure, so for that I need to create VPC, right? So how can I do it? To creating VPC, I need to create from here, select all these things, then inside VPC I need to create subnet, right? For creating subnets I need to click here, right? So by this one team, I need to do all these things manually, right? But now team, think in a way like you are just going for something called as infrastructure as a code. It means that you are having a piece of code, right, that is written in, like whether it is written in JSON or YAML, you are just going to run that code, and after running that code you can easily get an infrastructure. It means that you don't need to go physically and do all these things. You just need to run this code, you just need to write a code, and you can do it automatically. Cool team. So it's really important to automate, right? Now for example, my infrastructure is down. So team, what will happen if I have done manually? Like it will take 3 to 4 days, right, to do all these things, to make changes. So it will be really hectic. My things will be unavailable. I will be losing my clients, right? So what we are going to do? We are going for infrastructure as a code. If my infrastructure is gone, okay, so what will happen? I just need to run this code, and running this code, my infrastructure is back again, right, within few minutes. So this is really important, team. So this is the concept in a market. Like this is a hot concept in a market, team. Okay, so okay, so for this we are just going for something called as cloud formation, and using this cloud formation, like it's really important, like because if you get infrastructure as a code, then you can easily create an architecture on different accounts and different regions. Also using platform as a service such as Beanstalk could be very helpful for experimenting. Okay, then team, you should also allow to make your architecture evolve. So you need to design based on changing requirement. Okay, that means that when you migrate a workload from on premises to the cloud, so maybe at first you can make it one to one match, but then you try to think how can I leverage the cloud better. Okay, so now you have uh, just moved from on-premise to the cloud. Now, either you are just taking all these things, you are just using the traditional one, you can just go for the concept of serverless. Okay, you don't need to run servers like for 24/7. You just need to use all these things like serverless concept, and using this serverless concept, you just removing the overhead, right? So you can do all these things. Then team, like then drive architecture using data. Okay, it's not good to guess, right? It's good to look at what the actual uses is, what are the patterns. Then drive your architecture and use right services based on what you need. Cool team. Then team, like this is really important, and really 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 important, and this is really what I can say like interesting one. I'm just going to explain this point. Team, like improve through game days. So what does this mean? So that means that when you simulate application for flash sale days, and this stress your system, you know if you are doing well. Now, for example, Netflix, they have something called as the Chaos Monkey. And it's a program that in their EC2 environment goes ahead and terminate EC2 instances at randomly in production, right? So like in production, they are just going to terminate some of the instances, like they are just going to remove some of the servers. Okay, so by this way they will check if they are ready for failure in the cloud. Cool team. And there surely there will be the failure in the cloud, so for that we should be prepared. Cool team. Now team, we have something called as AWS cloud best practices and design principles. Okay, first thing is that, like in scalability we have two things, horizontal and vertical. Okay, so what is vertical scaling team? Like first of all, like what is horizontal scaling? It means that like this is my one server, it can serve around 1,000 requests. Now I need like now I am having 3,000 or like 4,000 requests. So what I can do, I can just increase my servers in this way. Okay, now by this way this is called as vertical servers. Okay, okay, vertical scaling. Then team, we have something called as, sorry, this was horizontal scaling team, we are just increasing servers. Then we have something called as vertical scaling team. So what is vertical scaling means, we are just increasing the number of like we are just like going from T2 micro to T2 large. Okay, so let me show you how. See, like this is my EC2. Okay, I'm just going to open EC2. So this is vertical scaling team. Okay, vertical scaling means team, like I am launching an instance. Okay, so team, I am selecting this hardware capacity. Okay. Now team, I have started from T2 micro. Like I was having a small requirement, so I have started from T2 micro. Now after some time, like I feel like I need to like go for like for more V-core CPU. Okay. For more network performance. So what I can go for, I can change this class vertically. Right now I will be having same server with this capacity. Right. So team, by this way we can just increase the size of a same server. This is called as vertical scaling. Cool team. Then team, we have disposable resources. So your server should be easily disposable and easily configured. Okay, if you put too much configurations onto a server and somehow that server is lost, you will be losing its resources as well, right? So in the cloud, everything is supposed to be disposable, including your infrastructure. So you need to make sure to go back to like you need to go back and backup of your data. You just need to uh, make like save your configurations using snapshot, right? Then we have automation team. I've already told you like we can go for like automations using like serverless like Lambda, or we can use auto scaling as well. Okay, then team, loose coupling. Okay, loose coupling is important. Like so when you have application at first, it's monolithic. It means that it's an application that you can do anything, and over the time the more you add on to the application, the bigger it becomes, right? And now as this application become bigger, it could be difficult to maintain and difficult to scale. Okay, then instead you should break it down into smaller loosely coupled components, so that maybe linked through SNS and SQS. And idea here is that a change or failure should not cascade to other components. Cool team. So if one thing is failed, okay, so another should not be. Like for example, I will show you, I have a use case for this. Now team, I am having an application which is used for video encoding. Okay, so for example, like at first, this is my first scenario, and in this what I'm going to do, I'm just going to use this application for video encoding. Okay, so when I'm going to encode video, I'm doing all these things here. Okay, encoding video, like accepting request here, encoding here, and just return like just responding to requests using this same. So what will happen after some time, like if there are like lots of requests, my these things will go down, right? This server will go down. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to break this server into two. Okay, now this will be my front end, like where I will be just taking a request and all doing all these things. And this will be my back end where I will be doing video encoding part, right? And I will be just using something here called as SQS. Okay, there is a service in a AWS that is called as SQS. Okay, simple queue service. So I'm going to use that. Okay, so this will be SQS here in between. So team, what will happen now? Now, if I'm getting request, okay, these will be taken care here, okay. Now, after that, all these requests will be accumulated here, and they will be queue, they will be sent here. This is SQS. This is a queue service, okay. Now team, like my capacity of this server is of like 100 encoding video. Okay, my capacity of this server is like 100 encoding video, and I am getting request of thousands. Okay, so this server will take 1,000 requests. Okay, and will be queued here. These things, these thousands requests will be encoded here. Now team, like after these 100 resolve thing, like 100 videos are resolved, they are sent back, and now 100 are pooled. Okay, so by this way team, like if like now for example my this server goes down. Okay, now what will happen now, in SQS I am having 1,000 requests, and in the backend like these things can happen. Okay, so one thing is failure but other thing is working right now. And for example the same way, like my front end is like is down for some reason, like for some minutes, so still my front end can take all these requests and queued here. Okay, so like like failure in one will be not cascaded to the other one, right? So by this way, cool team. So finally, like I will tell you one more thing. Okay, so finally think in services, not servers. Okay, so you can use EC2, but it's not recommended. Okay, you can use EC2 for translating whatever you have on premises to the cloud, but now think as a service. So you are now fully managed. You can use fully managed services, right? I showed you like Elastic Beanstalk. Cool. Then team, we have something called as well architect framework, and in that we are having 6 pillars. And these are the really 6 pillars, and after that I will be just showing you a small demo of well architect framework. Okay, a small demo. So team, like we have 6 pillars. These are operational excellence, these are security, third one is reliability, fourth one is performance efficiency, then we have cost optimization, then we have sustainability. So team, idea behind that is when you are acting according to these pillars you will have good architecture. Okay, on AWS. So they are not something you want to balance and compromise between them or trade-offs. Okay, so in this you improve operational excellence. Okay, your cost optimization will also improve, right? So team, now I'm just going to start with the first one, that is operational excellence. Okay, the first pillar in the well architect framework is going to be operational excellence. Okay. So operational excellence include the ability to run and monitor systems to deliver business values and to continuously improve supporting processes and procedures. Okay. It's all about having operations excellence. Cool team. Then there are like design principles of this. First one is perform operations as code. Okay, team, I have already told you like operations as code, right? So what is operations as code? For that we are using something called as cloud formations, right? Infrastructure as a code. Cool team. Then, and for that we need to go for cloud formation, right? Then team, second is that annotate documentations. Okay, so you need to annotate document, make sure it's commented, make sure it's clean and generated after every build of your application. Okay, like whenever you're just going for another build or any another release, then go for documentations. Okay, then tip, make frequent and small or reversible changes. Now, for example, team, if you make huge changes every 3 months, in case of failure, you may feel like difficult to reverse it, right? So go for small changes in case of any failure, you so that you can easily reverse it. Then team, finally anticipate failure and learn from all your operational failures, right? So failure will come and go, but what is the most important thing here is that we need to learn from our failure and just act accordingly. Cool team. Then we have like another pillar. Okay, okay team, like before going to another pillar, like there are like some services. Okay, I can tell you like how you can just improve your operational excellence using that services. Okay, so like there are like some services for that, for operational excellence. Okay, They are like some services. So like for first service, we are having something called as AWS Cloud Formation. Okay, so I'm having something called as AWS Cloud Formation. I already told you about this service. It is infrastructure as a code, and it's similar to Terraform, right? I think that you might have heard about Terraform. Okay, so it's similar to Terraform. So we can use cloud formation, okay, for preparing infrastructure as a code and review code. Okay, and now if you want to make change in infrastructure, it can be done easily with the cloud formation, right? If you are having a code, right, if you wants to delete anything, if you wants to upgrade anything, if you just need to like write few lines in the code, you can easily do it, right? Instead of making manual changes, you just need to make change in your code and you can do it, right? Then team, we are having something called as AWS config. So team, what is AWS config? This service can help you to evaluate your compliance of your cloud formation template. Okay, this service will help you just to check each and everything in the cloud. Then we have CloudWatch team. What is CloudWatch team? I will tell you. Okay, a CloudWatch is a service, okay, which is used to monitor your like servers or like your all other services as well, right? And for monitoring the performance of like operations in infrastructure. So like using AWS CloudWatch, you can just create alarms, right? Like if my CPU utilization, I will show you team. Let me show you like how AWS CloudWatch will help you out. Okay. So for that, you just need to go here. Okay. Just let me cancel this team. Okay. So how you can improve performance? So for that you just need to create alarm. What is alarm? Like if anything goes below or above that, they will be just sending you alarm. So for that you can create alarm. Click or create alarm. You just need to click here like select matrix. So I'm just selecting a matrix. Okay, I'm just typing here EC2. Okay, you can type anything. I'm selecting anything. Okay, uh, just give me a second. Okay, I'm just going to select anything, right? I'm just going to select anything. I'm just want to show you, okay? Like it's a call count, API count, right? If it's more than like greater than a threshold, okay, I'm just mentioning here. If it's like more than that, so what action should CloudWatch take? So I'm just making here like I can just what I can just create a auto scaling group here, right? So what will happen? I just need to select a group from here that I have created in auto scaling, and after that click here next. Your alarm will be created. Whenever your API count will be more than that, your new instance will be launched. Cool team. So by this way, you don't have to do anything manually. You don't need to like check everything manually, seeing like what is the performance now. I just need to add more things, right? So by this way, we can just increase our performance excellence using all these services. Then team, we are having something called as security. Okay, this is the second pillar. Okay, this is the next pillar is security. Okay, it includes the ability to protect information systems and assets while delivering business values through risk manage assessments and mitigation strategies. Okay, so team, like security is really important. Okay, we have to minimize our risk over the time. So how we can design a strong security? Okay, so well, for that we need to have a strong identity foundation. Okay, so for this, like in AWS, we are having something called as IAM, that is identity and access management. Okay, so first of all, we need to create an identity foundation. Okay, what is identity and access management team? So by using this service, we can manage groups or users in a centralized manner and follow the principle of least privileges. So how can we do it, team? We are just having like we just can create users and groups. Okay, so we can easily create users and group here. And users is like not a different account team. These are like the same. These are like you are creating a users in the same account. Okay, so now if I want you guys to access my account, so what I can do, I can't give you my username password, right? So what I can do, I can create users inside that of your name, and I will give you the your separate ID password, and I will give you the permission as well. And using that permission only you will be able to access. Okay, if I am giving you the permission of S3, so you can only use for it like storage. You can't use other service. Okay, So we will be going for IAM and using the least privilege. Okay, principal least privilege means give that person that much permission that is required to do his or her job. Then team, we have something called as enable tracing. Okay, so we want to enable tracing. That means that we want to look at the all the logs and enable them automatically respond and take actions every time something looks really weird. Cool team. Then we have something called as apply security at every levels like edge network, VPC, subnet, load balancer, every instance, operating systems, right, and applications. So here we need to follow the approach that is called as defense in depth. Okay, so it means that like if my one security control fails, then others should be able to take. Okay, it means that if I am having two security control, if one is failed, other will be there to take over the charge, right? Like for example, I am having a network ACL at my subnet level, right? If like someone is has bypassed that, then at the next level I am having at instance level, that is security groups, right? So I can use security groups. So security group is nothing but it's like a virtual firewall. Cool team. Them like automate practices like is the best practice. It's done well when done automate, right? See, like if you are just it's not possible for us, right? Like we are having lots of logs in our AWS account. We are happy we are having VPC logs, API logs, right? We have CloudTrail logs, we have logs from different services. Then right. So these are like we are having different kind of logs. So like if you are monitoring all these things like manually, I don't believe that you would be able to do the best. So for that we need to go for like automate, right? Then team, we need to protect data in transit and rest. So we can do it by encryption and access control. Cool team. And team, like we have to prepare for like security events and run incident response simulation and use tools with the automated and increase your speed for detection. Cool team. And for security, we have already discussed about something called as shared responsibility model. So we will be following that. Then team, like there are like some services that we can use for security excellence. Okay, security for the security. Okay, how you can just have the best security. So for that we are having something called as identity and access management. Okay, so what is identity and access management? We will be just we can build our secure system, okay, by having like users and having proper groups and assigning proper policies. Cool team. So we'll be using IAM. Then we have something called as MFA. So MFA is nothing but team is multi-factor authentication. So we can use that. Then team, like we are having something called as AWS organization. Okay, so what is organization team? Like for example, we are working like I am working in an organization, right? Now team, like we are working in a company, right? So I you know that like we are in a company, we are just not going for a single account, right? We are having different account, right? So same way team, like we are in account, if you are working in AWS, there also we are having. Okay, so we are not going for single account. The reason is that like there can be a case of single point of failure. So to remove that single point of failure, we are just using AWS organization. And why we are using AWS organization? Like you are having multiple accounts, okay, in your AWS running. So you can just collaborate all these account called as AWS organization, right? And using this service, you can just take control on multiple accounts. You can centrally enforce policies like this account can use this service only, right? You can just restrict service as well, like this account will not be able to touch my API logs, anything. Okay, so people used to like we can use AWS organization for this. Then we have CloudTrail to look at API logs. Okay. Then team, we have VPC to set the right ACL, right access control list. Then we have Shield to protect our system from DOS and DDoS. Okay, I know that like team, tomorrow we will be discussing all these security things in a very detailed way. Okay, then team, we have something called as WAF. It is a web application firewall, helps to protect from bot attack and well-known web vulnerabilities, right? Like OSAP top 10, all these kind of thing. Okay. Then we have inspector like for threat intelligence. Like if like we need to just go for like vulnerability assessment for all these kind of things, we can go for inspector. Cool team. Then we have KMS. Okay, KMS like team, we are using it for like encryption, our like for encryption and protecting our data. And like KMS, we will be doing a lab in a very deep way, and we'll be discussing KMS on the last day of our masterclass. Cool team. Then third pillar that we have is called as third pillar we are having called as reliability. Okay, so team, what is reliability? Okay, so team, the ability of a system to recover from infrastructure as a service disruption. Okay, so it's team, it's all about making sure your application runs no matters what. Okay team, it's the idea here is that you like your application should run no matter what. Okay, so the design principles are really simple. Okay, first one is test recovery procedures. Use automation to simulate different failures or to recreate scenarios that lead to failures before. Okay, then team like automatically recover from failures, anticipate remediate failures before they occur, right? You just need to check the failures and remediate failures, okay, before they occur. Okay, then team, we can go for like scale horizontally to increase aggregate system availability, distribute requests across multiple small resources to ensure that they don't share a common point of failure. Okay, example, auto scaling. Okay, then team, we have something called as stop guessing capacity. So we just need to maintain to optimal level or to satisfy demand without over or under provisioning. Okay, so for that we can use auto scaling. Cool team. Then for reliability also we are having some AWS services. Okay, so let's see which AWS services can help you to increase reliability. Okay, so first one is VPC. Okay, so this is really strong foundation for networking. Then we have service quotas. Okay, so set neither too high or not too low. Okay, then team, we have trust advisor. So like we can get a recommendation from AWS for reliability. So team, what is trust advisor? Team, trust advisor is nothing but, okay, trust advisor is nothing but it's just like a we are having our parents right at home, so they will be giving us the best advice. So same way we are having trust advisor. Okay, you just need to pay some amount to AWS and they will be just giving you the best advices. Cool team. Then we have auto scaling. Okay, so if we have set up auto scaling and after some time if my application becomes popular, then we don't need to change anything, right? They will be just increasing the servers in a horizontal way. Okay, then team, we have something called as AWS CloudWatch. So I already told you how to set alarm for auto scaling, all kind of thing, right? Then team, we have something called as backup. So to recover if really something bad happens, so we should have backup, right? So backup should be there for like each and everything, like whether it's servers or whether it's like for storage, right? So we are just going for backup. Now team, another pillar that we are having is called as performance efficiency. Okay, so team, the fourth pillar is performance efficiency, and it includes the ability, the computing to use computing resources efficiently to meet system requirement and to maintain that efficiency as demand changes. Okay, so it's all about adapting and providing the best performance. Okay, nothing but it's all about adapting and providing the best performance. Okay, so what are the design principles? Okay, so design principles are the democratized advanced technology. This is basically like that advanced technology becomes services. Okay, as the service become available, maybe they can help you and you can focus on your product development, right? Now team, like most of the people are going for AWS, right, for cloud service provider. So why they're going for cloud service provider? So team, the reason behind cloud service provider is that you are just going for a managed service, right? You don't want to manage anything, okay? For example, like in a back days we were using like manual washing machine, right? They were like two compartment, right? Now we are having automatic machines, okay? So we like way back we were using mostly manual cars. Now we are going for like most of the people are going for automatic. So like it's all about we are going for the comfort, right? So now if you're going for the services that are managed by AWS, then you can easily focus on your product, right? You don't have to worry about like what are the scaling, auto scaling things and all these things, right team? Then team, you can go global in minutes. It means that you can easily deploy in multiple regions using cloud formation. I've already told you, okay? So if you are just going for infrastructure as a code, we can do it within a minutes. Then team, like use serverless architecture, avoid burden of managing servers, okay? You can go for Lambda, you can go for Fargate, okay? Then finally, team, we are having something called as experiment more often, easy to carry out comparative testing, like you can try serverless or fully managed services. Cool team. Then there are like some services that increase your performance. Okay, I've already told you like auto scaling. It will help you just going for if you're going for EC2, this will be really helpful for you. Now, team, there is something called as AWS Lambda. Okay, so like you're going for AWS Lambda, it's for like serverless. Okay, so if you're going for serverless, you can go for Lambda. You can like what is the difference between Lambda and EC2? Okay, let me tell you. Team, like whenever you are using EC2 servers, they will be running all the way, right? They will be running 24/7. But if you're going for Lambda, what will happen? Okay, so now I have already given example of video encoding, right? So like if you're running EC2 server, they will be running like 24/7. Okay, now if you're using Lambda, what you'll have whenever someone is trying to whenever someone is sending you a request like I want to encode video, then only Lambda will be just triggering and will your server will be running for that period of time. Cool team. So for that you can use Lambda. Then we have S3. You can store any amount of data. Then we have CloudWatch, like monitoring our platform, how well we are doing. Okay, we can just manage all these things. Team, like Elastic Cache. There is one more thing called as Elastic Cache. Let me explain. It's really important. Now, team, for example, okay, this is my database. Okay, team, like this is my database. Okay, for example, this is my database and this is my server. Okay, this is my application. Now, team, I am getting lots of requests. I'm getting a request. Okay, so I'm getting a request, and like these customers are just asking for the data from the database. Okay, so what will happen? This application will send request to DB, and DB will respond back to the application, right team? But like there are like lots of application word lots of requests. What will happen? Like there will be a chance like your DB becomes slow, right? Or it can go down. So what we are doing, we are adding here something called as elastic cache. Okay, there is a concept of elastic cache. We are here adding here something called as elastic cache. So team, what is elastic cache? Elastic cache is just like a RAM. Okay, so now what will happen team, like if someone is making a request, so first like it will check like if anything is cache and nothing, then it will just go in the database and check. Now team, like database will load here data and it will just respond to the application. Cool team. So by this way elastic cache is working for the first time. Like next time whenever like someone is requesting data and if it is cached here, request will be served from here. Okay, so we are just adding a layer here to just improve our performance. Cool team, right? Then we have like another pillar, okay, that is called as cost optimization. Okay, so team, let's talk about what this is the pillar like. What is it? It's the ability to run system to deliver business value at the lowest price point. Okay, so the ability to run systems to deliver business values at the lowest price point. Okay, so design principles are adopt. Okay, so we are just like adopt a consumption mode. Okay, pay only for what you use. Like for example, I have already told you S3. Okay, so you have to pay only for the storage part that you are having. Okay, EBS, right? Like if you're going for EBS, you have to provision. Okay, so go for the consumption mode. Okay, then measure all efficiency. Okay, use CloudWatch configure right type and right type of resources. Then we have like spending money on data center operation. The idea is that when you move to the cloud, then you don't have to focus on the on-premises data centers operations, right? You just need to use all these things. You just need to leverage the AWS cloud infrastructure. Then we just need to analyze and attribute expenditures like accurate identification of system uses and cost and gets ROI. So using this, you can just get the ROI, okay, like how much you have spent and how much you have got it. Then team, we have like cost optimization, like in AWS services, like cost optimization in terms of AWS resources. We are having like budgets, okay. So you can just create your budget thing, right? So in creating your budget, it will help you out like for your cost consumption, and like AWS will not charge you more. Cool team. Then you have like spot instances. They are like a cheaper, okay. They are like a bidding process if you wants to get all these things in a backend, right? Okay, so if you are just going to deploy all these things, okay, so if you are using a spot instances, what will happen? It's like a bidding process, okay. For example, like AWS having a massive infrastructure, so they are not using all this infrastructure. So what they are going to do, they are going to use this infrastructure, okay. They are just going to give you a heavily discount and you can use them, okay. Then team, we have like sustainability. This is the last pillar and this is the new pillar they have just added. Okay, so the sustainable pillar focus on minimizing the environment impacts of running cloud workloads. Okay, so in this, what we are doing, we are just here ideas that to understand your impact for the established performance indication, right, and evaluate improvements. Then you can set long-term goals for each workloads and return on IAM, like ROI. Then you can have like maximum utilization of resources because you want to be energy efficient, right? Then you can use managed services like for like to reduce your amount of infrastructure you use and reduce costs as well, right? So for that you can use serverless, Lambda, S3 lifecycle, all these things. Team, this is like the certification part, okay. These are the current certification that we are having in AWS. So first one is like cloud practitioner, okay. So here this one is the basic one. So you just need to, if you are just the new or you just want to uh, start your journey with AWS, so you can start with that, or you are a person who is just managing the team, so you can also go for this, okay. Then team, this is the associate level. From here your learning starts to be in a deeper way. So these two solution architect administrator is like in a similar, okay, they are similar in a concept, all these things, but there is a slightly difference. The solution architect is more of a designing solutions, and sysop is mostly of like how to deploy that solution, okay. So all these things are same, but there are like some certain topics that are different. This is a developer team. So developer means that if you want to go for developer services, that you can go for this. Then team, we have like professional. So what does this mean, team professional? Like from this certification, it means that you have to learn things in a more deeper way. Like if there is a topic, some topic like in solution architect, they like kinesis, and if you wants to like go for like professional, so in for professional, that kinesis will be in much more deeper way, right? Like DevOps, like team, if you wants to just run your CI/CD pipeline or you wants to do all these things like Ansible, Git, all these things, you have to go for DevOps. Then team, these are like some called as certifications. Okay, these are like specialty. They are like bit tough because they are focusing on some amount of some area, right? So they are like bit tough. Team, like there is a small demo, okay, of infrastructure like AWS well infrastructure. Okay, so this is like AWS well infrastructure tool. So how can you use it, team? It's really easy. First of all, you just need to define a workload. So click here. I am just writing a name. So I'm just typing my workload like demo workload. Okay. Uh, this is for demo full team. This is for the demo purpose. Then I just need to mention the email ID ayush at the rate gmail.com. Okay. So these are things I'm just giving. Okay. I'm just taking like production. I can choose regions as well. I am choosing these two regions. Okay. I'm just taking these two regions, okay. Then you can give all this information like your industry optional, like okay, your application if you have with you. Click here on next, okay. Then team, we have like these lenses. Okay, you can use any of these lenses, like well-connected framework if you want to go for SaaS lens, server lens. Okay, so if you are going for this, select this and click on define workload. Okay, so I have defined my workload. So now what I need to do, I just need to start reviewing my this, right? So for that, they will ask you a lot of question, team. So you just need to answer like these questions, like next, right? You just need to give like these questions next, right? So by this way, team, whenever you are just going to answer these questions, they will be showing you like your infrastructure is on high risk or medium risk, and based on that, you can just create your like you can just respond, right? Then you can do like you can save milestone, like this is my this release, that release on the release base, right? So team, this is all about AWS introduction, all this kind of thing.